So I'll try not to be too boring. I'll try to stick to my 15 minutes, get to my point, and get moving. So I want to talk to you about Bermuda. We decided and identified that people in this space need a great place to live, work, and play. And Bermuda, I think, is the luckiest country in the world. And I say that because, to my knowledge, and I don't know everything, my wife does, but what I do know is that there's not another country that I'm aware of that has a leader with a background in finance and technology, a leader who's a crypto nut, who's a coder, a programmer. So what we have is a crypto, a fintech, a technology-friendly government, and we've developed an ecosystem that includes an entire country of people, companies, corporate service providers, the regulator. You heard from my colleague Moed Fahmy earlier from the Bermuda Monetary Authority. A whole country that's there to help you to find an ideal, optimal place to launch your business, to develop it, to have a regulatory and legislative platform that's consistent, that can remove some of the fear of the naysayers and the people that are not so comfortable with cryptocurrencies, blockchain technology, DeFi, and all the other things that we like to do. So, raise your hands if you know the name Jeff Pulver. Anybody know Jeff Pulver? Good friend of ours. So Jeff came to Bermuda last year, and the year before as well, and he decided Bermuda should be, he gave the name like Startup Island. He said, this place is great. I didn't know you had all this here. He was using the name like he said, you could be Startup Island. But we like the term Innovation Island because it's a really, really great place to live, work, and play, and we have a technology-friendly government, a leader that's driving us down this street, and you really have to come and see it. Sometimes things in life are too good to be true, but when you come to Bermuda, you'll see that it is, in fact, everything we say it is. That's a picture of our waterfront. It's really, back in the day, I used to work in the tourism industry, and these are the kind of slides. They say Bermuda is another world. It truly is. But geography lesson. So raise your hand if you knew that Michael Jordan, the greatest of all time, was a geography major. Raise your hands if you knew that. Michael Jordan went to the University of North Carolina. He was a geography major. Geography lesson. And quick story, he said, some interviewer asked Michael, well, why'd you choose geography? He said, in his inimitable way, it is only he can, typical Michael Jordan confidence and arrogance, he said, because I knew I'd be going places in life, and I just wanted to make sure I knew where I was when I got there. That's the truth, very true story. Where is Bermuda? Now, I use this slide because I travel a bit, and I continue to be amazed that people do not know where Bermuda is. I look like a Caribbean guy, and in my heart I am, and most Bermudians have roots in the Caribbean, so you'll find that people think that we're actually in the Caribbean, but we're not. We are associate members of CARICOM, and like my mother's parents are both from St. Kitts, so yeah, I'm a Caribbean guy, but Bermuda is actually in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, 700 miles due east of North Carolina. It's very close. It's 2.5 hours from Miami, 3 hours if there's a headwind. It's 90 minutes away from New York, Boston if you fly direct. But planes don't like to do that. They go to waypoints and they take the long way around, so it ends up taking 2 hours. But that's where Bermuda is, and the beauty of it is that it's easily accessible from either side of the Atlantic. So what are we doing here, and why am I here today to talk to you about this? So Bermuda is one of the few places other than Switzerland that has achieved regulatory equivalence. We actually are entrepreneurs. Our history dates back hundreds of years. We were actually pirates. So the entire country is built on entrepreneurship. We started out as pirates, and people have differing views on what pirates actually did. Some say they stole, raped, and pillaged and did whatever. Or some say they bartered and they were businessmen. I'll leave it to you to have your own views on that, but we started out as entrepreneurs, as pirates. We got into the tourism industry, and then we got into reinsurance and insurance, and became a top domicile for financial services. So at the moment, Bermuda, as I said, with Switzerland, is one of the few places that has regulatory equivalence. And what do I mean by that? An insurance company that's domiciled in Bermuda can write business. My colleague Joe from Realm Insurance, Deltex over in the corner there, Joe knows about insurance. A company in Bermuda, domiciled in Bermuda, can write insurance in the EU, any country in the EU or North America, as if they were actually physically located in those countries, even though the company might be located in Bermuda. We want to do the same thing for the fintech industry. So this slide just speaks to is meant to depict how we take a flexible approach to how we set up our positioning. The guy on the left is the traditional finance guy, and of course, us, the Bitcoin crew, are the far right. Our approach is to be compliant but progressive, because this is thinking that you can have rules and regulation yet still be flexible and creative and innovative, but you can. And my colleague Moed spoke earlier about the regulatory framework that the Bermuda Monetary Authority has, is set up to allow you to run your business, to be as flexible and disruptive as you like to be, yet still have rules around it. So the Bermuda Monetary Authority is our regulator. It's an integrated financial services regulator. They have relationships and are in regular communication with regulators in other jurisdictions, and they allow companies to have access to the regulatory standards, structure, and opportunities in other jurisdictions, even though you might be domiciled in Bermuda and doing your work with the Bermuda Monetary Authority. This is an example of some of the legislation that we have developed over the last couple of years, and we continue to update and amend our legislation to keep it consistent with best practice and what you, ladies and gentlemen, need so that you can create, develop, innovate, and make money. I say that. We're a government. I represent the government, but we're one of the few governments that I actually know that speaks about, we actually want your business. We want you to come to Bermuda. We've created an entire country that's there to help you speed through the process, to make the process of setting up, getting a license with the Bermuda Monetary Authority as seamless as possible. And we want you to be successful, we want you to make money, and we do everything we can to create the conditions for that to happen. And our risk management framework is based around identifying and managing the risks and helping you to develop and establish policies and procedures so that you can manage those risks, as opposed to other jurisdictions where they try to shoehorn fintech companies into existing case law and legislation and regulation, which is somewhat restrictive and not exactly what you need. So what risks apply? Well, the B and the 3 C's: business risk, custody, cybersecurity, and compliance. And the key there is to just identify your policies and procedures for mitigating and reacting to and avoiding the risks. How does it work? The Bermuda Innovation Model, you have the opportunity to take advantage of our stage guidance to help you develop your regulatory compliance procedures. A company can enter our Innovation Hub, which is essentially a private, closed alpha testing environment for businesses looking to develop their business model. Once you successfully complete that process, you can progress to the Sandbox, which is a public limited scale license for beta testing, and allows companies to demonstrate the application of those risk management policies and procedures in a real business application. And that would be what the Bermuda Monetary Authority calls a modified license. They did not say that in the Innovation Hub you don't need a license, you need a business plan. They have a look at it, and once they're happy with it, you can go ahead and play around in that Innovation Hub. You would need a license in the Sandbox that's called a modified or restricted license. And then when you get through the Sandbox phase, the beta testing, a full license with the Bermuda Monetary Authority is public, unlimited scale license to operate under specific classes of business. So how does it work? Submit a business plan, and once that's approved, and you don't need a license as such at the initial stage, you're able to do anything that's outlined within the scope of the business plan that you would have submitted previously. And who's our team? This slide basically says that there's an entire country of people that are trying to help you to expedite the process of identifying a jurisdiction that's crypto, fintech, blockchain friendly, that wants your business, that takes the steps to make the process as stress-free and painless as possible. And we have concierge services, people that guide you through, make the right introductions, and it's very easy to come to Bermuda and set up your company and do whatever it is you want to do, as long as you can get, like I said, the license to the Bermuda Monetary Authority. But that's necessary because if you want to take your product or service to other jurisdictions, then having the licensing in Bermuda with our reputation in financial services over the years is a good thing, and opens up other business opportunities for you in other jurisdictions, and you'll be respected for that, and fewer questions are asked. What are we working on next? So despite the fact that most of us like cryptocurrency and like to be disruptive, mass adoption has been slow, not just in Bermuda, but worldwide. in the general public. It's growing, but we find that in order to really drive adoption, like Martin Luther King had a dream, we have dreams. We'd like to see a day when you could just use cryptocurrency for anything or any kind of open finance. But there's a process and a roadmap to getting there. Our government, our leader, I didn't call his name, the Honorable David Burt, JPMP, we decided that in order to drive adoption, let's do a currency standard initiative. So the Bermuda government has committed to accepting one-to-one USD-backed licensed stablecoins, digital currencies, for payment of government fees, service, and taxes. And we think that that'll help to drive adoption, and using our 60,000 people population, turning it into an innovation sandbox so that we can show to the world what's possible when an economy jumps onto a platform that's powered by digital assets. And it's our hope that that'll help us to demonstrate to the world and to other countries a clear path for mass adoption of digital currencies. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is me within my 15 minutes. I said I would be as quick as possible. If you have no questions, I'll bring up the next speaker. Anybody got any questions? I have my colleagues, Wendell Lodge and Moed Fahmy from the Bermuda Monetary Authority. They're here as well. So if anybody had any questions, I see the next speaker is not necessarily ready to come up. Any questions? Yes, no? If not, thank you for your attention. Come to Bermuda. Somebody's got a question. So it's hard to see these bright lights. I think I'm in the middle of a football field at 9 o'clock at night. How you doing, bro? Thanks, good question. The currency in Bermuda is the Bermuda dollar. It's pegged one-to-one to the US dollar. That's why we, in our currency standard initiative, chose to do a one-to-one USD-backed digital currency or stable coin, because our currency is pegged to the US dollar. So our currency is Bermuda dollar, but it's worth the same as the US dollar. Good question, thank you. Any other questions? I see the next speaker. And thanks to Buster for his hospital. Give Buster a round of applause, being a great MC today. Everybody's giving Mo and his crew the props, but there are people around who make things happen behind the scenes. Buster's doing a great job.
So talented just to talk on a microphone, right?
Any questions? Any other? If not, thanks very much. Happy Thursday. God bless.